Whilst riding the Alban Way is an abiding joy, it doesn't always do to get too fixated with what's in front of your wheel. Sometimes it's worth parking up and exploring the beauty and history that lie just a few yards each side of the permanent way. A short diversion gives you a whole new perspective on the railway architecture, like these beautiful blue bricks of the arches. They look so wonderful, especially surrounded, almost engulfed by the spring greenery. The most magnificent span on the whole railway is this, where the railway line crosses the River Ver. Originally, they intended to build a twin track across here, that's why the bridge is wide. But in the end, budget meant just a single track had to be laid. But it remains an abiding wonder. I mean, the brickwork is just so intricate, so beautifully done. You stand under it in awe of those railway pioneers. And if that's a man-made wonder, then the river it crosses is a natural wonder. The River Ver is a chalk stream, beautifully clear. The water has been filtered through chalk beds. It's a constant temperature as well, winter and summer, and apparently teeming with life, although I've yet to see any fish in there, but it certainly looks beautiful. Water clear as it ripples over stones, very inviting. You follow the river along a gravel path past some well-tended and popular allotments and leads onto this, a beautiful wooden causeway raised several feet above the surrounding swampy, muddy wetland. Now, it might not look very inviting. It's lovely to admire it from up here where your feet keep dry, but apparently it's an absolute paradise for all kinds of wetland wildlife and plants that grow here in abundance. It really is an oasis of verdancy and life bursting through, and all this in the middle of a city. It's wonderful. We're lucky to have it. A soggy step through some of this low-lying water meadow leads you to another wonderful surprise just off the Alban Way. This is Sopwell Nunnery, or what remains of a house built on the site. You can see even from these few walls and windows without glass that it was a magnificent residence. It was built here on the site of the former nunnery by one of Henry VIII's advisors back in the 1500s. He clearly was a man of some contact, influence, prestige and wealth. You can tell that from what remains today. It's still quite a inspiring and impressive building, albeit a ruin. Open to the public now. It's a wonderful place, even in lockdown, to come and get some fresh air. And now the rules have been relaxed, even the occasional picnic. Leaving the ruins of Richard Lee's mansion takes you round to one of the other beautiful spots on this walk. It's very, very pretty and tranquil now, far busier when it was really a centre of production of a vital bit of salad ingredient. This beautiful lake where the ducks enjoy such tranquility used to be busy growing food. These were watercress beds using their mineral-rich water from the River Ver. This is where the salads were grown to be sold in local markets and even taken on the Alban Line trains to bigger markets. Now it's a wonderful wildlife preserve and sanctuary. Its name survives in the Watercress Wildlife Association, whose volunteers keep this place looking so verdant and beautiful and maintain it as a delight and a valuable asset for us all. Unfortunately, of course, at the moment we can't go in there. Sadly, there's a notice on the gate which says the committee's decided the nature reserve must stay closed for the foreseeable future. Some people were selfishly not adhering to government advice about social distancing, thus spoiling it for everyone else. Well, let's hope we're all learning lessons from this, and when this place does come back into life and we can get in there once again, we'll show respect for it and for each other. Stunning view of the Abbey from here. This is where the railway was built up on an embankment to allow it to cross the river valley. And that height does give you a commanding presence across the city and the surrounding areas. It really is quite a special place to walk and to ride. It's one of those locations where you really feel on top of the world. We carry on along the Alban Way for a little bit longer, and then we divert off again to another fascinating and unexpected discovery. A place that's part of Britain's naval heritage you really wouldn't expect to find this far from the sea. The Art Deco style of the former office building indicates that this place had a prestige which it no longer holds. It's home to a myriad of motor trade workshops. But when it was built here in 1911 by Vickers, the British armaments company, it was the Vickers experimental wave tank. That's why it's such a huge, long building, 400 and more feet, because inside they built a tank on which they were able to replicate any kind of sea and weather conditions. And exact scale models of warships and merchantmen were tried out here to see how they'd perform before they set out across the oceans. Much better for a model vessel to sink here than the real one to flounder on the high seas. They even tested a seaplane here just after the First World War, the Vickers Viking. You get an idea of the expertise of the shipwrights, the architects, the hydraulic engineers by looking at this Pathé News footage that was filmed just before the experimental wave tank came to the end of its working life. It's on this website. It's interesting to stand and pause here and look at the length of that building and think that where now cars and trucks are fettled, once ships were designed, accidents at sea were avoided, and perhaps hundreds of lives were saved. St Albans made quite a contribution to Britain's success as a seafaring nation. Families frustrated by the lockdown means the way is getting busier, especially as the weather turns warmer, and it makes it trickier to observe social distancing. But I'll carry on. Doing this each day's been a shaft of light, you could say, my salvation from COVID blues. A rare upside of this crisis, I think, has made us all look again at the wonders on our doorsteps and rejoice at what we used to take for granted.